Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome everyone to another episode of the Man Cave. I think we're already on episode 8 or 9. Like we're chugging along here, and I'm super happy that we can continue with this. It's just me and Mason today.
Woo!
It's going to be a very intimate and gay time. Gay meaning happy.
Okay, you got me there. I was about to rebuttal. I hold my rebuttal.
Okay, all right. So I'm gonna start off with something that I saw on YouTube the other day, and it was this motivational speaker, and he talked about the difference between what guys need and what girls need during difficult times. Right? Like what do we need? What's the difference between girls and guys? All right. So what he said was that girls need acknowledgement, affection, right? Like, hey, it's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be fine, and they need that emotional support. But then he said guys, on the other hand, need strong love, because when guys get into the difficult times, they need to be able to be responsible and resolve the situation more than feeling like everything is okay, right? So one thing he did say was guys don't get much if people keep saying to them, hey, it's going to be okay, man. It's going to be okay, man. It's going to be okay. They rather have the, hey, get off your seat. What are you going to do about it? Like, what will you do now that this problem is here? What are you going to do? And that's kind of like, that's what guys need. He said one of the biggest problems that are happening in the world today is with guys is uh, people try to help guys the way that they would help girls. And this is why it doesn't really work with guys, kind of thing, right? So I want to go into this topic. So let's get into it. Mason, so I'm going to ask you first is what do you think about this? What about you in difficult times? What do you really need at that time?
I agree with the statement. Honest for me personally, when I feel like I'm in a rut, you know, it's cool for people to say, "Hey, man, I get you're going through a tough time. It's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right." I'll be like, "Okay, yeah, I appreciate that,
Mm,
but I need a game plan. Like, I need to know." Well, first, I'm gonna try and figure it out on my own. Like, okay, where am I at? Where do I want to be? What's the first thing that I could do? Here's my plan. Do you have any advice that you could give to me so that I could execute this plan more effectively so that I could get from point A to point B?
mm.
For
Yeah,
me, I think that's more effective.
yeah. I think I would rather have someone not console me, but this person would be like, all right, bro, what's the next step we got to do? And then
Mhm.
he'll kind of get me going into the first, okay, I'll help you with this. Yeah, I'll get this going for you, kind of thing. I would
Mhm.
be more grateful for that than someone saying, oh, honey, it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be fine. I love you. I love you so much.
In my mind, I'll be like, okay, that's great, but that's not helping me.
Yeah, like I don't need that affirming like, oh, it's okay.
It doesn't resolve the problem.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
we're way more like task oriented.
Yeah.
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 And
So even like if it's something like really small, like, oh, I'm not in a good mood, right? If someone's like, oh man, I get it, you're not in a good mood, blah blah blah, but it's gonna be okay. Like that's not gonna make me feel better. But
right.
if someone was like, hey man, let's instead of like, I see that you're feeling down, I get it, I sympathize, I empathize with you. How about we go and do this?
Right.
Even if it's not like, oh, let's resolve the fundamental issue. Even if it's like, hey, instead of, sitting around and sulking or feeling bad, how about we do this other thing instead?
Mm,
So I think for most guys, instead of like, let me try and make you feel a different emotion,
right.
it's more like, let's change the environment either where we are or
Mm,
let's change the environment by how we're utilizing the physical body.
mm. Let me. I agree with that, and I have an example. I just thought of one right now. Okay, so I'm not sure if any of you have had the same similar situation, but when I was head leading, what happened once was there was someone there's someone who sent a letter to Sunseem about me without even telling me. They just behind my back, they just sent it, right?
Mhm.
And just out of nowhere, I get the letter. Sunseem's like, step down, like you're no longer head leader, and I'll just like, you kind of sit there like, what the hell, right? And you just feel like, you're like, what just happened, right? And uh the people, like there were some people in the leadership are like, whoa, what the heck is going on? And they're like, hey man, it's gonna be okay, don't worry about it, hey, come on, you did really well, da, 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 da. They're kind of like consoling me. And
Mhm.
even though they console me, I'm kind of angry, like
Mhm.
just like, what the heck is going on? And because the problem's not resolved, I
Yep.
can't accept anything anyone says. That's the only thing I think about is what's with this problem. Now, there was
Mhm.
this one person, though, this one person said this, like explained to me and said, hey, we're going to find out what it is. We're going to write a letter right now. And we're going to tell Sunseem the situation. What I need
Mhm.
you to do is write a repentance letter, even though you have no idea what it is. You write the
Mhm.
repentance letter, and with your letter, we're going to write something to tell Sunseem what the situation we see it from.
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, well, okay. So I just started writing a repentance letter, right?
Mhm.
And this person, I gave to the person, this person sent it out together with their letter. And for me, that was actually more like soothing to my heart.
Mhm.
Not the fact that they cared about me, like, hey, we're going to get, oh, we're on your side. We're on your side. Your side. Yeah. So that wasn't the thing that was like so great for me,
Mm.
but they had a plan. Seen this before. Sorry, the voice came out, right? It's like, you write this letter, we're gonna write this letter together, and we'll make it work out, right? And
Right.
at that point, my heart was consoled, like, all right, we'll get this done. So now I'm only worried about his response.
Yeah, the
So I'm not,
anticipation.
yeah, the anticipation of the response, but no longer that situation as itself, right? It's like, oh, you're no
Mm.
longer head leader kind of thing, right? And, there's anxiety waiting for the response.
Mm.
But it
Right.
came back and he's like, all right, stick to it, bro. Stick to
Good
it. You're
job.
fine. You're good job. Let's go. Right. And
Uh-huh.
for me, it was like very, very like redemption at that point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when people were telling me it's okay, I was like, I couldn't get out of my mind.
Right.
Right. And then, but only when this person came to me and said, we're going to do this, then I'm like, got it. Let's
Mhm.
go, kind of thing. Right. And once I got that part done, I'm only worried about the next step.
Right.
Have you ever had something like that?
For me personally, I mean, a situation similar to that, no, not really.
Mm,
Um, wow, I'm really trying to think right now. Like any personal experience where I went through someone just like blindsiding me or ear hole. I like
I
to
thought
say
you
ear
I
hole.
thought you were gonna say I haven't done anything important in my life, really.
Yeah, now that you mention it. Um, but no, I can't really think of an instance like that where I'm just ear holed with something and I'm just like,
Mm,
oh, what's happening? What's going on?
right.
Um, yeah, I'm blank on that one.
Oh, okay. That
Mhm.
was just my experience, and I really appreciated the person who had the plan.
No, that is for me, that's something that's needed. Like I need someone around that's like that. Cause sometimes
Yeah.
if I do find myself get like a random situation, like if it were that kind of example, like I have a job and it's just all of a sudden, hey, you're fired.
Right.
It's essentially the same thing that was happening to you. Hey, you have to step down. If I find myself in a situation like that, I would need someone around to be like, hey, we need to devise a game plan. Like, I already kind of know what it is that I would need to do. Like, okay, I got fired. I go back home, take the rest of the day off or whatever. Next day, start looking for another job, put out
Right.
applications, put out my resume, that kind of a thing. For me, the issue is like when it's not working out right away,
Mm.
it's the consistency that ruins it for me.
What do
Because
you
I
mean? What
know
do you
that,
mean by consistency?
or I should say, remaining consistent with it when it doesn't work out the way that I hope right away.
Hmm.
So I like my fervor begins to like dwindle little by little because I'm not getting the results that I'm looking to attain.
Right.
And so for me in that kind of a situation, I'm like I would need someone to help me remain consistent, even if it's uh like for me there's one person in particular that comes to mind. It's like we would always talk about it and like think about it logically and reason it out, and we'd all also like bring the word into it as well, like, oh, this happened with Sunsanim, the word says this, the Bible says this, if you keep doing it then eventually it'll work out. So it's the rationale behind it, like, oh, if I give up now then of course it's not going to work out, but if I remain consistent then eventually it'll work out. Even though my personality, it's a very like I, I'm just like, honestly, patience is one of my worst things.
Wow. I think that's a
I
guy
want to
thing.
get it done, and
Yeah.
I want to get it done right away. If I want a result, I want it right away, but I know that's not how it works.
You know what? I think yeah, I think I'm very, very similar too. But I think one thing that actually would help is if someone helped calm me down before the plan came.
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't mind. I would be very grateful for someone who's like, hey, let's be reasonable about this. Hey, calm down. Let's calm down
Mm,
first. Let's think of a plan. Like if they could get my energy, down to this level and then start
mm.
talking about a plan, I think I would be super appreciative of that too.
Yeah, because you know, um, I'm really ambitious. I wanna achieve the goal, and I want to achieve it as quickly and efficiently as possible. But just because I want to do it quickly and efficiently doesn't mean that it's going to produce the result faster.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um, so I find it very helpful to have someone around that is not necessarily that same way. They could be just as ambitious, that's fine.
Right.
But they're more methodical,
Mm,
I think would be the most appropriate thing. That would
yeah.
work for me. Um, yeah, I know a couple of people like that. One person in particular where it's like, hey, we're gonna figure it out. He's like a very like he has a lot of leadership qualities, but he's about the process,
Mm,
not about just the result. Whereas for me, I'm like big picture, like this is the thing that needs to happen and we need to get it done. And but he's more of like the small details and working your way up to producing the big picture
mm.
step by step by step.
Have you ever had someone like hit you or slap you, and then you're like, it brought you back to your senses?
No.
Like, obviously, it's not like a real punch to the face. You know what I mean?
No, but like just a little something.
They'll like slap, like they'll hit you, like, hey, the heck, the hell's wrong with you, kind of thing.
No, I can't think of anything like that.
I've had that once in my life in high school. Once.
Maybe one time. Maybe once.
Yeah, I've
One
had that
time.
once, and it was shocking at first. I was like,
Mhm.
did you just hit me in the face? Kind of, I was like, you know, I was like, what? And this guy, this guy was smaller than me, like tiny guy. And I just sat there like, oh, like, you're just so shocked by it.
Mm.
But I didn't do anything back. I was just so shocked by it. It actually
Uh-huh.
jogged me back into like to where I should have been.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if
Bring
you
you
can do
back
that
to
to
reality.
girls. Hey.
And then they said this, and then it made me feel like that, and then that person over there did this, and enough.
No, we are not condoning hitting girls. It's a joke, guys. It's a
Violence is
total
bad,
joke.
everyone.
Yeah,
Violence is bad unless someone decides to be violent with you first.
right.
Then okay.
You know what? I think this is now that we're talking about this subject, I think this might be one of the reasons it's hard for guys to say sorry.
How do you mean?
Like it's more of an emotional thing.
Oh yeah.
Like you're
Yeah.
not doing anything to solve it. Where we think we
Uh-huh.
have to solve something, but instead it's like, hey, I'm really sorry. Like it feels more like an emotional thing more than like an actual resolving the situation, which I don't think we are.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Honestly, that is one of the things that I struggle with too. I don't have, it's not like a burning like anxiousness, like, oh my gosh, this is so difficult for me to do.
Yeah.
It's more awkward.
Eh,
Feels awkward to do it.
okay.
Even though
Why
I
is it
know
awkward
like,
though?
so like for example, uh Sunsonim changed my mind on this,
Yeah.
and he said like even if you are in the right, if there's still conflict, be the bigger person, be the more righteous person, and apologize, even though you didn't do anything wrong,
Right.
because it's for the sake of peace. It's not about right or wrong. It's about resolving the fundamental issue and creating harmony.
Uh,
And so it kind of made me a little bit more at ease. So there's been situations where it's always like one particular family member, but arguments always arise, not
well,
just
let's
with
let's get this straight. This is like a family, blood family, right? Not
blood
like a
family member.
yeah,
Yes,
not a
like a
family member in the church.
biological family member, everyone. Biologically related.
Okay.
So this person is always having arguments with me, the other person, that other person, that other person. You know, they find an argument in everything. And so
Mm,
sometimes when I feel something arising, I'm like, well, I try and be logical and find another way around it to diffuse the situation. But if it comes to the point where they're like, well, you and you and you, they have like this very like victimized mentality. Everyone is victimizing them, and they lash out blaming everyone for everything. And so sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I did this, I said that. I didn't intend it to come off this way. I didn't intend for you to feel this way or think that I'm doing this for that reason. So I apologize. I want you to know that that wasn't my intention.
mm.
So in that circumstance, I find it not so bad. I find it more awkward when I know that I probably said something that I shouldn't have said to someone, and they got offended, or they started feeling some type of way, and then it's like, yeah, I'm sorry I did this. Yeah. Yeah, my bad. I messed up. Sorry.
I find it hard because like I have multiple different reasons. Like for instance, if that person is if it's their fault, uh I will come up with reasons why I shouldn't say sorry to them, even though it's for peace. 1 second.
Got him.
Yeah. So and it's kind of a reasoning I put in my head, like, but if I just do this myself, they're gonna keep doing this again.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? Like in my head, I'm trying to reason with it, like, it's not gonna help the situation. It's not gonna help.
Right.
We're just enabling this person just to be that way.
No, I think the same thing too. That's why with that one family member, I have to just take a break from them and just no contact.
Yeah. Like mean like physically punching them in the face or
No calls, no text, nothing.
yeah.
No letters,
No
no
letters? Do you
postcards.
actually still write letters?
No, no, I'm just joking. It's a
No,
running joke.
No
in
more
my
pigeon.
office.
No more mails through pigeons.
No
No
more.
more
Yeah.
no more
Because
pigeon mail.
there's a coworker that I have. He's at a different location, but he'll email my boss, and then right after he emails my boss, he'll text him, and then he'll call him. So it's a running joke in our office, like, oh, and by the way, I sent you a text about this. Don't forget to call me. I'll also send you an email later on. If you want, I could leave a post-it note on your desk as a reminder, and just, on and on and on and on.
Right.
But yeah, no calls, no texts for this family member, relative. Um, because sometimes I just need a break, because apologizing to them does not resolve the fundamental issue that they need to resolve.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a tricky one.
What about the times when we have too much pride to say sorry?
Oh man, I really think that's just a point where an individual, male or female, it's mostly a guy thing.
Is
Like
more
honestly,
male, I think. Yeah.
we all know that it's mostly a guy thing. You
Yeah.
know, Muslim said it in the word too. I'm sure like
Yeah.
guys have a pride problem, but that's a tricky one. I think that that's something an individual needs to resolve on their own because if, like, let's say that they have narcissistic tendencies, right? Um, then they'd be less likely to apologize, even though they're in the wrong and they know that they're doing something wrong. They'll be like,
Yeah.
oh, no, well, I'm the best, or whatever kind of ideology that they have floating around in their noodle. Um, But I think at that point, that's when people really need to start self-evaluating, especially if we're in Providence, and people are
Mm.
like, I'm not going to apologize because I'm, high and mighty or whatever.
Like for me, like sometimes I don't want to say sorry because when the pride kicks in,
Mm,
uh, like say I'm a head leader,
mm,
like because you're already, you have like some image and you want to keep up or uphold kind of thing,
right.
and the pride just kills me. But I find something I found something very interesting, which is when I don't want to say sorry, like we'll always find justification for it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm gonna say sorry. They gotta say sorry first, or we'll come
Yeah.
up with something in our heads, right? It's like,
Yeah.
well, they did more. Well, they're older, or what are they thinking? Like, why do I have to say it? There's always like something that kicks in.
There's
But I
always a
think yeah, it's such a damaging thing to have this pride. Not
mm-hmm.
all times. It's just in this situation where I just don't
Right.
want to say sorry because like tell me this happens with guys. Like I see this happen with guys all the time. We make mistakes, we're supposed to say sorry, but the next day we act like nothing's happened and just kind of let things go. Like let it keep running.
I I will admit that I don't really fall into this category.
Mm,
If I know that I mess up, it's gonna be hard to say sorry because you're
yeah.
embarrassed, you
Yeah.
know? But I'll still do my best to be like, hey, I messed up. Like the quickest it'll be is like a day. I'll wait a
Yeah.
day, and then by the end of the day before I go to sleep, if it's I know it's still gonna be bothering me, I'm gonna be like, hey,
Yeah.
this happened earlier today. I know I ticked you off, but I was just joking, honestly, just trying to make a
Yeah.
joke, and it wasn't funny to you. So, yeah, I just want to
Yeah.
resolve this. But I could think of a few guys that fall into that category and just like never say anything and just pretend like it didn't happen and carry on like everything's all hunky dory.
Right.
That for me, that really irritates me. Like,
Mm,
especially if something is done to me, like they're doing something to me, whether intentionally or not, and they know that it's obviously bothering me, and I even say something about it, and they're just like, oh, okay, yeah, and they just carry on. Oh man, that burns me. It burns my very soul.
uh the, I like I've done a couple times where both of us are cool. Like we understand. Like the Shimjongs, they're like, You know,
Yeah.
it's kind of like it's like, "Eh, and then we just
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
You kind of look
It's
at
like,
you
hey
like,
man, you good?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm good. You
yeah.
want to go get some food? Yeah. All right, let's go.
Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna ask you because there's a lot of girls out there watching this. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. When guys say sorry to guys, it's like that. It's like, and then we go, hey, so it's like, hey, bro, yeah, about yesterday. Hey, don't worry, bro, don't worry, and then we move on, right?
You
When
even see
okay,
it in movies.
yeah,
You read it in books.
yeah. When I see like when I say sorry to girls, it's really different because they want me to explain it.
Oh, wow.
And they want me to say, why are you sorry? What did you do wrong? Right? So it's like there's like more explanation involved. Hey, I'm really
Mm-hmm.
sorry. They're not like the guy, like guys are like, I'm so hey, no worries. Hey, let's just go on, bro. We're
Mm-hmm.
bros. Let's move, right? Let's get some stuff done. But just because females are different, girls are just different than guys.
Right.
It requires more of the I guess more feeling or more emotional. Oh, you don't sound like you're sorry.
My gosh.
You don't sound like you're sorry. Wait, you said sorry for what? What did you do? What are you sorry about? But they won't say it like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they'll kind of bring it in where I don't know if they understand how much it takes for a guy to get to that point.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
it feels like they're trying to crush me.
Mentally and
Yeah.
emotionally,
And then
they
of
want you
course,
to
I've said this many
suffer.
times, they bring it up the next time something goes wrong. Do you remember the last time? Do you remember what happened last time?
Oh my
You know what you did
gosh,
last
man.
time? Oh gosh. And for me is like yeah.
Do you remember what you did on February 13th, 2003? It's like, no.
Oh,
Well, I
what?
remember.
Yeah.
Okay. I have a coworker, a female coworker. She's older. She's like 60 something. And there was she does another coworker that was a female. She doesn't work with us anymore because she got fired.
Uh,
She came into the office, the younger one,
hmm,
and they were talking, da 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 da, and then all of a sudden the younger one starts going off. It's like, oh, it just starts uh loosely threatening the other coworker, the older woman. And once she left, the three of us that were in the office just kind of like popped out of all our little areas and cubicles and were just like, what the heck just happened right now?
right.
It just popped out of nowhere. And so the woman in the office, the older woman, she literally wrote it down on a sticky note, the date, and kept it there. And even after the other employee was fired, and she's like, "I'm never gonna forget that date. Like this date right here. Oh, that's when she went from this nice this nice girl to this just evil, so on and so forth. Other words were exchanged that I won't
Right.
repeat." But it's just like she kept this note in her cubicle to like commemorate this day where like she just started despising this other coworker. And I'm just like, you could always just like throw it away too. She's like, no, even till after, it was like a month or two after she was fired. Then she's like, okay, I'm gonna throw it away now. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, I get in trouble too with my friends. Like some of the people I know, like the girls would be like offended if you forget their birthday. I don't even remember the guys' birthdays, but I will remember like important things like my phone
316.
number, my social insurance number, like those types of things. I got in my head because it's important.
Right.
But a birthday is once a year. Why is it so important? Like for me, in my head, it's not as important. I'm not gonna memorize all the birthdays, right? Why would I
Right.
like the only birthdays that I really memorize are the one like my parents, like immediate family,
Hmm.
and people who have birthdays or dates that are significant in my world.
Right.
Like for
Exactly.
instance, there's this one person I will remember their birthday because it's the same day that my anniversary of me becoming a star.
Oh, okay.
Exact same day, which means that I'll be
Yeah.
like, oh. and she's trying to steal my thunder. You know, like I joke around and stuff, but that's
Yeah.
the only reason I remember it. There's no
Hmm.
other, like, I don't have any other, like, I would implore the girls out there to understand guys don't really, they don't, it's not like they don't care about your birthday. But of course, if we're married, you remember your wife's birthday. You got to remember that because
Of
that's
course.
just lame. That's just lame.
Otherwise, you sleep outside, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Sleep on the sofa. No, you're right. In the garage, outside, probably sleeping in the car or something like that.
Go into the garage at once.
Right now, Sky. I am so upset.
They just give you the death stare.
Yeah, but
Clunk.
I don't remember those types of things. I rarely know all my friends' birthdays. Rarely, very rare.
Same. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, I mean, we all know a lot of people in Providence, right? We're all
yeah,
like very, very good with a lot of people in Providence and in our personal lives as well. It- I can't keep up with all the freaking birthdays, man. I have a
yeah,
hard time keeping up with all of my siblings' birthdays.
yeah,
And with all the times both my parents got married, both of them got married twice, and kids over there, step siblings over there. It's like I can't keep up with all these freaking birthdays,
yeah. And I
you
don't think
know?
people should be mad about that either. It's hard,
Yeah.
especially
And
when you don't really. It's once a year. You don't really care as much as they think I should.
yeah, like I don't even care about my birthday that much,
Yeah,
personally. I'm just like, it's another day. Like I'm supposed to be alive today anyway. People should start getting concerned when I'm like 80 or whatever.
yeah.
Then you should be concerned about the next day, like, oh, you made it another year, great job. But I'm in my 20s. I should be making it to my next birthday.
Mm.
It's kind of expected.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, it becomes like it'd have to be extra special for you to remember. Like I know, like this one guy, a buddy of mine,
Hmm.
he had his wedding on July 7th,
Okay.
2007,
Oh, 777.
because he doesn't want to forget it. So he chose a day that's easy, 777. Yeah.
All right.
So he'll never forget it because it's like, oh, 777. Okay, 777, 2007. Oh, we've been married for this many. Like, I talked to when I talked to my parents, next year, 2024, is my
Mhm.
parents' 50th anniversary.
50. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So, honestly,
Awesome.
it's not important to me really. It's
Mm,
theirs. It's their anniversary. Like I'm like, Dad, you should buy the present. I'm not sure why I need to buy an anniversary gift. You know?
mm.
But is that normal? You have to give a gift for your parents' 50th? You do?
I've never heard that. I've never heard of that ever.
Yeah, yeah. It's not a normal thing, right?
Right. I think is that a Canadian thing?
No, I don't even know. I'm just asking. I'm not sure if I have to buy a present for my parents on their 50th. But either way, like they're gonna go on a cruise or something like that. But
Okay.
when I asked for the date, my dad doesn't remember.
Oh, snap. There's I mean, as far as like really important dates go,
Yeah.
I only remember a handful, right? Like I know my birthday, of course. Like that's an important day. Like okay, that's uh not to go back, you know, kind of be contradictory to what I said before, like, oh yeah, I don't really care about my birthday, but my birthday, like the
Yeah.
day that I was actually born, that's an important day because that's the day, the Trinity brought me into the world. I almost died when I was born. So
Do you know what day of the week you're born?
Thursday.
Oh, cool. Mine's a Wednesday.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning.
Yeah, I was a Thursday afternoon. My mom was like, "Yeah, I was around 5 p.m. when you came out." I was like, "Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, mine was around 8 a.m.
Oh, wow. Morning
But
baby."
here's a guy thing coming out right now. I'll show, oh, hey, how much did you weigh?
I don't know.
You don't know how much you weighed?
No, my mom said that I was long, you know. I don't know
You
what
don't
that
know how
really
much you
means.
weighed?
No.
Gosh, I was 10 pounds and 2 ounces.
Fatty.
I was super chunk. I was super chunk. Like if you look at my pictures as a baby, it's just rolls
Oh my God.
everywhere. But this is a
More
guy
rolls
thing.
than a bakery.
Yeah, well, the guy thing is like we memorize numbers, and then if someone says, "Oh, well, how much did you weigh?" We start comparing. Yeah, yeah, you were 8 pounds, 10 pounds.
Dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I'll ask my mom because I remember every time she talks about it, she was like, "Yeah, it was a struggle, blah blah blah." She almost went into cardiac arrest. I almost died. And then she's like, "And yeah, you were really long. You were really long, baby." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay." So that was like the most important things that I remember.
Oh wow. So you don't even know your weight.
No,
You don't even do you
no.
know your blood type?
Yeah, yeah, A positive.
O positive,
Oh my gosh.
which is quite interesting because oh no, my parents are both O's. My parents are
But
both
wait,
O's. Yeah.
I'm A negative, not A positive. A
Um
negative.
you are
Yeah,
negative, my friend.
I am. And what of it? I'm not negative, I'm realistic, okay? There's a difference.
Oh gosh, this is going to be one of those episodes. People are going to start putting some bad comments in there.
Gonna
What
be
do you
like,
guys?
why do you sound like this?
Yeah, what's going on? Hey, Mason's got a girl voice.
Yes.
Have you? Because on my podcast, I do the girl voice every once in a while.
I hear it all the time.
Yeah, I know. Whenever we talk, it's always there. When you and I are talking.
Yes. If
Yeah,
it's just a conversation with me and Sky or in person, the girl voice comes out. I
yeah.
don't know what it is.
And sometimes like the German voice comes out.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah.
So how are
Would
you
you
doing?
like to come over and we could
For me, I'm just like, so how are you doing? Like I sound like a gay German.
engage women?
Yeah.
Sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Yeah,
Guten
I'm.
Morgen.
When you are going through a difficult time, like a really, really difficult time, what do you usually like to do?
Um, there's two main things that I'll do. One,
Uh,
exercise, and that could be a variety of things. That's a go-to because it um emotions they're like spiritual in a sense,
right,
but they're also biological, right? Because you have the electrochemical reactions that are happening, which start in the brain and then they spread out to your you know, other parts of the body. Hormones are getting released from the endocrine system, and all these things are happening
right,
physically. So, a quick way to change it is to exercise because once you exercise, your stress, your cortisol naturally goes down and your body starts producing more endorphins
right.
uh, and other
Also,
like strong
so
chemicals.
so you do go exercise?
Sometimes, yeah, even if it's like really quick, like I'll be like, oh, if I'm not feeling good about something, I'll try and distract myself with, other things. I'll do something that I enjoy.
Right,
I enjoy exercise because it does make me feel good for those
right.
reasons. But if I'm not in the mood to do that, or I already exercised or whatever, I'll go to music. So I'll either start
Oh,
listening to music or I'll start uh, singing along with the music or, going along with the lyrics of the song, or I'll write.
right. Okay,
That's
so I'm totally not as productive as you.
ah.
Yeah, like for me, like I want to be alone.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
that
definitely
makes
want to be alone, and I'm gonna fester in it. Like I'm gonna start thinking about it a lot. Like why did
hmm
why did they say this? Why did they say that? Like what's going on here? I can't believe this, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes until it reaches a limit,
hmm
and then I need to talk to someone,
Okay.
and I'll
No,
talk it out, and I'll vent. I'll super vent.
no, that makes sense. I process in the same way, but as I'm doing the things, like for example, as I'm exercising, I'm processing the conflict that happened,
Right,
processing it in my mind. Why did this happen? How should I have responded in a different way? How is this not resolved? How can it be resolved? I'm running through all these tens of thousands of scenarios in my mind while
right,
I'm doing the workout because if I just sit there and do it, I'm just gonna lose it. My mind is just gonna drive me absolutely nuts. So I need the distraction of exercise. And likewise with the music, if I'm writing, my lyrics or anything, all the thoughts, I'll just put it down on the paper.
mm,
I'll I'll turn it into art in that way, you know? So I'll just start writing a bunch of lyrics, expressing the event, or just turning it into something else.
Do you find it necessary you need to find someone to agree with you or support you in that, like what you're thinking? Or at least, yeah.
I don't think that it's necessary, but I do think that it could be helpful if
Mm,
you are having a kind of, even if it's not the person you have the conflict with. I think it's important that you get an outside viewpoint,
right,
someone that's not directly involved, and they could probably see it with a much more clear head. And
right,
they could be like, oh, well, maybe this could help, or maybe that
right.
could help. I think that that would be very beneficial too. But I do think that speaking to someone about a particular thing that's really just, festering in your mind could really help you to resolve the problem.
Yeah, like I found that I need, like, I'll think about it on my own, just let my mind go wild. Like I'll be
Mhm,
upset, right? And then,
mhm.
you can only be upset for a certain time. And
Right.
then usually I have some go-to people. And
Mm.
when they come to me, I'll let everything out. And I think they know me really well because they'll acknowledge what was wrong. Like they shouldn't have done that to you. They shouldn't have said that, which
Mm.
actually makes me feel better. Like that's true. See, I wasn't crazy, kind of thing. I wasn't
Oh
thinking
yeah.
crazy. And then
Mm.
after that, they'll give me advice. Like they'd be like, but dude, you got to also see it from their point of view,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's just because, they're just jealous because you're better. They're just jealous because you can do
Obviously.
everything better. So you got to
Obviously.
understand. Yeah, no, but they'll, at the point when I get the acknowledgement that it's something that they did, like I was wronged.
Mm.
I
Mm.
don't feel like I'm crazy. Like I'm like, I like, oh, like what the hell's wrong with you kind of thing. But then
Mm-hmm.
after that, it feels like I'm way more willing to listen
Mm.
because I
Yep.
just need the acknowledgement that I'm not being stupid about this. Like I have a reason to be angry. And then that
Mm-hmm.
acknowledgement makes me feel like that's it. I was right. Or at least I was like, see, I'm not crazy. And then after that, they'd be
Yeah.
like, but you shouldn't have said this. And I'll be like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I shouldn't have
Yeah.
said that. Right. It's like, hey, come on, bro. That's being a little bit dramatic. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, having those kinds of people around that will be able to, one, they'll give you a little bit of validation, but at the same time, they'll call you out when you do something that is not, I guess, for lack of better terms, appropriate.
Right, right. Mm,
Hey man, why do you gotta be so dumb?
yeah.
You're right. You're right, man. I shouldn't have been so dumb.
Like that's kind of like a high school thing, right? When they'll pull you aside like dramatically, hey, what the hell, man? Wake up. What the hell's
Yeah.
wrong with you? Yeah, like that's total a high school thing.
Yeah, that's very high school.
Yeah,
I've
but
never
not, yeah.
experienced that,
It's
but
just all hormones. That type of conflict resolution is just pure hormone resolution.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Use your
But
words, everyone. Use your
yeah.
words.
And be reasonable with it too.
Yeah. I mean, rationale goes a long way. If you're just like going through the motions and you're just kind of acting on a whim and
Right.
trying to come up with, a quick fix for everything, it's probably not going to really resolve any issues that you might run into.
Right.
So I think really taking the time to think about something logically will benefit in the long run. And it's not necessarily a guy or a girl thing. Anyone can think about things logically. It's not really a gender thing, but
Mm,
anyone could develop that skill. Like
right.
just taking a moment to evaluate the whole situation and coming up with the best solution that you could think of. It might be not be the right solution,
Mm,
but the best one that you could think of. Give
right.
it a shot.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's like, and I think sometimes we just need we need an idea to like springboard off of. Like, even though it may
Mhm.
not be right, but because they said something and gave you an idea, you can springboard off, like, oh, that's true. Oh, but maybe not this. I'll do this instead. Like you
Mhm.
kind of get it kind of gets the juices going. And I think that's a good thing when you're able to get something practical to a guy.
Oh yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I like practicality. Don't make it
Yeah, for sure.
complicated.
Mm,
I don't need like 1,000 steps. Just give me somewhere to start and we'll take it
yeah,
from there. Figure it out as you go.
right. What's the biggest thing that you've been dealing with now? Like decisions or like things you're going through?
Moving.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh,
right.
that's huge.
Yeah, so I'm in Southern California right now, but I do plan in the next less than 2 months, I do plan on moving to Georgia to the Athens church.
Nice.
That's where Cameron is. And he's one of the two guys at the church. So when I get there, it'll be three guys at the church.
Oh, wow.
So, oh gosh, yeah, it's gonna be a totally different dynamic because I'm used to having all these other guys around, right? In the in the LA church,
Yeah,
there's a huge group of solid guys that are always there.
right.
And so it's kind of I don't want to say downgrading, but it's just a different
I'm
kind of
not gonna say downgrading, but it's downgrading.
oh gosh. I don't know how to word it,
Yeah,
because Aaron is there, Cameron is there, and they're both super, super, super solid. Like these guys are on point with their stuff,
and they're
you know.
both half black.
Yeah, Aaron's half black. Are you sure?
Yeah, both of them are.
I always thought his mom was black as well. Because I know his dad's black. I talked with his dad
Right.
over video call.
Okay,
Super
because if you
black.
said over the phone, I'd be like, that's racist. I heard his voice like, hey, bro, hey, brother, how's it going? So he must
Yeah,
have been
right.
black.
That's no, but I've seen his dad.
Yeah.
I've never seen his mom, but he's talked about his mom, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Hmm.
But hey, I mean, either way, they're both solid, super solid. It's just there's only two of them instead of like 10 of them. If there were 10 Aarons and Camerons,
Yeah.
forget it. Game over. Georgia is
Yeah.
evangelized, the whole state of
Yeah.
Georgia.
I understand what you're saying. I don't think to get back on track, I don't think is a downgrade. It's just there's just less guys.
There's less.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're both really solid. It's just, yeah, there's not as many of them, but we're hoping to change that. The three of us the two of them just finished a 110-day prayer condition. They got me on the last week. And then I'm
Nice.
like, another 110 days. So we just started the second 110-day prayer condition to pray for lives, to pray for all this transition that we're all going through because um Cameron's doing things, Aaron and his wife are doing things. They're in a transitional period, and I, of course, am in a transitional period because I'm moving from state to state.
Right.
So, yeah, we're just like, hey, let's keep praying about this. Let's keep going, do another 110 days. So solid, they're really great guys.
How did you what was the thought process of getting to this? It's a huge decision. Like you're gonna drive across the entire US, but what
It's
made you finally like, I'm doing it?
it's actually been like a almost a 2 year long thing,
Oh
a year and a
wow.
half. Yeah, so the first thing that kind of put me on to Georgia, because at this time I was like, dude, California is crazy. I've lived here since I was a kid, but now that I'm an adult and I've, been adulting for almost 10 years, I'm like, it's not getting much easier. Um, so I'm like, what could I do? Well, I could change the environment so that, I'm in a place where the cost of living isn't as high.
Right.
Like that makes sense, it's a logical step forward to get to where I
Mm,
want to be financially. I'm like, okay, I don't know where I would move though. And then it was the end of 2021 when there
right.
was a soccer tournament that was supposed to happen that never happened. Um, and I was hanging out with Cameron and he was like, let me show you this house that I just bought. I'm like, yeah. And then he was showing me this house and da da da. And I'm like, how much do you pay a month for mortgage? And he's like, 1,400. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, the apartment that I live in right now, it's almost 1,900 a month with all the utilities and everything included. And it's a studio less than 500 square feet. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Like this is
Mm.
it's crazy.
I actually just saw on YouTube today, or on YouTube Shorts, and they said Georgia is the fifth cheapest place to live in America.
There you go.
Yeah, like number one is Mississippi, but no one wants to move there.
I don't want to go to Mississippi.
Yeah,
You know
like
what?
there's no members,
There's
there's
no
no
church in
church there.
Mississippi.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
100%. That's the main reason. So
yeah,
everyone, all my family members are like, Georgia, why you want to go to Georgia? And I'm
yeah,
like, there's a church there. But in my mind, I'm saying that in my mind, but then I'm like, yeah, I know people out there, so it'll be good.
yeah.
I have at least some sort of support system.
Mm.
So, okay, if you want to do it,
So it
but
was.
yeah,
This is a 2 year process, and then what was the final thing? Like, I'm going.
I would like there was other things leading up to that. So I thought like, oh, Georgia would be a nice place to live. And I kind of just put it in the back of my mind. And then Aaron went through the blessing and he got matched with Chelsea, Cameron's older sister, and she's from Georgia.
Right.
And you know, up until that point, this was last year. So I'm really starting to think like, man, I really want to get out of California. Where am I going to live? And so I'm starting to think of all the other places where there's a church. And I'm like, there's a couple other churches in California, but the point is to get out of California. And I couldn't really think of any other place except for, there's, members in Seattle, but I don't think there's an actual church.
Right.
Two churches in Georgia, and then New York. I'm like, New York is probably just as expensive as California,
If not more, right?
if not more, because you're in the city,
Yeah.
basically in the city. Um, so I'm like, nope, that's a no-go. So I'm like, Georgia, all right, it has to be Georgia. And
Right.
so I started to pray about it. I started to think about it. Aaron got matched with someone from Georgia. He's like, he's my boy. Um, so we've known each other ever since we both were evangelized. We weren't evangelized together, but right after each of us were evangelized, he soon came back to LA and he was running in the Bethel church when we were in Irvine. And that was the church that I first started going to. So for a year and a half, he was there. And I was just like, this is an awesome dude. Like, this dude
Mm.
is just freaking great. So I really developed a fondness for him. And even though he went back to Japan, we stayed connected. Even though it wasn't like every day or every month or every couple of months, we would
Right.
still stay in touch periodically and, share testimonies with one another. And eventually he's like, hey, I'm coming back to America. And I'm like, sweet. And he's like, but I need a place to live. And I was wondering if you wanted to get an apartment together. And I'm like, move into where I'm at right now. So we figured it out. We roomed together for nearly a
Mm.
year, and it was awesome. And so I was still thinking about it, and then he moved over there, and I'm like, man, should I really go to Georgia? And Chelsea was kind of egging me on, like, hey, Georgia, Georgia. But I think
Mm.
the final nail in the coffin was when I really started to pray about it. I just started to see and hear Georgia come up everywhere that I went, whether I was at work, whether I was going about, running errands, whether I was at home watching some random show on Amazon Prime or whatever. It would be set in Georgia, like some little town in Georgia. And I'm like, I think God's just giving me all these signs that I need to go to Georgia. So
Mm.
about 5 months ago, 6 months ago, back in February, I'm like, you know what, God, maybe I'm reading it wrong, maybe I'm not, but I'm just gonna, trust you. And I'm almost certain that this is where you want me to go.
Mm.
Even though I'm not 100% correct, even though I might have some doubt that this is my own thoughts, I'm just gonna go out on a leap of faith and I'm gonna trust you and I'm just gonna go.
Mm.
And that's it. So I made the decision, and as I'm playing it out, and as I from that point, as I drew closer and closer to the time I'd be leaving, talk to this person and that person, talk to my mom who used to be a member, and she's like, "Hey, I actually have been thinking about going to Georgia. I'm gonna talk to your sisters though to see if they're cool with it. They're cool with it, so they're moving to Georgia too. So not only am I going to move to Georgia where there's a church, solid members, really tight knit church family, but my physical family is also going to be moving there as well.
Even
So
that
I'm like,
crazy girl,
who?
the one person in your family that you said there was a family member that always
Oh
drives you
no,
nuts.
no, Not this one. No. My
Uh,
mom and my two younger sisters. Well, maybe one of them will be moving somewhere else, but definitely my youngest sister will be moving with my mom to Georgia. So I have
nice.
family members there too. So I took that as another sign, like, okay, this is probably God's will. So I'm
Mm,
just gonna keep going with it, even though I'm nervous, even though not everything is lined up, not everything is, ready per
right,
se. I'm just gonna go anyway.
right. And I think it was a healthy thing you did too. Like I like it because you're looking at it very reasonably, like, hey, this is so expensive here. I'm barely surviving. Where can I go? And you
Mhm.
get to see a place where it's a lot more, it's cheaper. You probably get a mortgage for a house of what you're paying for over there anyways in California.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think it's
serious.
yeah, I think it was a good move. And it's gonna be a big benefit since you're already close to the guys over there too.
Yeah, both
Yeah.
both of those guys are just like so great.
Mm.
I had a lot of good experiences with both of them. Uh, I went to Womyeongdong with the American Providence group a couple of years back in
Yeah.
2019. Cameron was my roommate, so we just hung out for the 2 or however many weeks that he was there.
Yeah.
It's like, man, this guy is freaking awesome.
It's like it's kind of interesting because like LA, like you said, we already saw like Aaron left LA, you left LA, right? And it's almost like the physical, like in the physical world too, people are like fleeing LA, like California.
It's crazy. It's too
Yeah.
expensive out here. I mean, I understand why people are doing it, but the way that I did it, the way that I made the decision,
Mm,
I think that's how most guys would make the decision. I
right.
think most guys do think along those lines. What is working? Who cares how you feel? Like for
Right.
me, the a lot of emotions are tied here. Okay? So
Right.
this is where I first started my life of faith. The same church. I haven't been to any other church. I haven't, been attending any other church.
Right.
LA. Unless I'm vacationing somewhere in New York or I go overseas to Korea, of course I'm going to be attending those churches. But LA is my home. That is where my church family is and has been my church family for all of my years in Providence. So emotionally, I'm tied here. There's a part of me that's like, don't leave. For the love of God, stay
Right.
here because it is comfortable, because it is safe, because there's nothing that is unknown.
Right.
But the logical side overtakes that. I
Mm,
I know that emotionally in my heart, it is here.
right.
But I have to sacrifice that for what is more practical and what will work in the long run, forsaking those emotions.
Right.
Because other emotions and other connections could be developed in another place.
Right.
It's not like I'm leaving the Trinity. It's not like I'm abandoning Providence. I'm just going to a different location with the Trinity and with the Lord and the man of mission to
Right.
start a new chapter and set roots down in another place.
Yeah.
So the logical side is like, this is a better decision because of X, Y, and Z.
Mm,
You might feel this way right now. You might feel anxious or excited, or man, I don't want to give this up because it feels good here. It's comfortable here. Emotionally, it is safe here.
mm,
But how is that going to work in the long run? It
right.
probably, how are you going to develop more physically, you
Right.
know? And that goes into like the male mentality of getting, going into the blessing, like what could I provide to her
Right.
instead of how am I going to support myself?
Right.
You want
Yeah.
to be in a stable position so that you're strong, but then you could assess the whole situation and be like, okay, now that I'm going into this next stage of my life, what could I do for her too? Because I want to make her life better. Not
Right.
necessarily easier, but I want to make it better for her. I want to enhance it in some sort of a way. So
Mm.
that goes into the mentality, the logic, thinking step by step on how to make decisions.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like guys a little bit more practical and more reasonable with it's not so much like we're kind of trying to leave the feeling behind, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the sacrifice that guys have to make to
Yeah,
bring.
and I think that's why it's such a good mix to have, like when a girl and a guy are together, it's like the emotional side plus you have the practical and getting things done side without, like no joke, just got to do it kind of thing.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, God's a genius.
Huh?
God's a genius.
Oh, I thought you said Sky was a genius. I was like, oh, like I know, hello.
We went over this earlier.
Yeah, I didn't tell you to say it out loud, but you can if you want.
Yeah, but it totally makes sense,
Yeah.
that's the way that God designed it. Men are like this, women are like this, and they complement each other. It's not to say that men are always logical and women are always emotional,
Hmm.
but on average, that's how it is.
Right.
And the two complement, you know,
Hmm.
they are a solid unit as one.
Yeah. No, I agree. We complement each other really, really well if we can understand each other well too.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
working together.
I agree
Man,
100%.
this is kind of crazy. We've already been on it for an hour, bro.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
As
Okay.
crazy as this sounds, like we've been here for like I felt like we're just kind of warming up.
I know.
Like we're
I
just getting started.
haven't even caught my second wind.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, it's already this over an hour.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
It's
This
nuts.
this is even faster than when we had three people. Like three people I thought was really good. Well, I think three is still better. I think three is like the
Yeah.
prime because you have like different points of view. But
Uh,
this one-on-one, it's kind of interesting. This actually the time flew by even faster
mm,
because I think it's
yeah.
more rhythmic. Like it's just you and I. That's it. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
It's like ping pong.
Yeah, yeah. So ping pong ah. I am
Uh,
ping and you are pong ah. And together we are ping pong.
we just need like matching costumes now,
Yeah.
and the whole look is complete because you look like me,
Hello,
I look like you. Perfect.
I'm Hans, and I'm
My name is.
Franz, and we're here
Oh
to
my
pump
God.
you up.
Uh,
Oh my gosh.
what would probably be a good another topic of discussion is to talk about the different like character types of the guys. Like
Mm,
the Meyer-Briggs.
right.
I think that would be interesting.
Oh, yeah.
The girls were talking about it in one of the episodes
Right.
for a period of time, and I'm like, oh, it's very interesting. Like they're bringing that up. Like, oh, okay, I'm interested in that. Like, I don't like go super deep into it, but I'm like, it's very interesting to understand your character and other people's character through that.
Yeah. And I think it's very insightful. It might not be like to the exact details, but it's got so much research behind it that
Mhm.
most of it is like it's pretty reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you?
ENFJ, I think.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
ENFT or ENFJ, somebody one of those two.
I'm ENTJ.
ENTJ. Yeah, I have
Mm.
my extrovert is at 93%.
You're way more extroverted than me.
Yeah.
Way more.
Yeah.
I'm like 50, 55 or something like that.
Yeah, I'm at 93%. So if I don't talk to that's probably why I need to talk to someone to get my, all right, guys, listen, you gotta listen to me for a second. I gotta say it. And he's kind of let,
Everyone else, shut up. It's not as important as what I gotta say right now. I really have to say something right now, and I need everyone to listen and stop what you're
Up.
doing. Oh. Oh my God.
When they put their finger to your like,
Shh.
it's okay. Everything's gonna be okay.
Your finger is so pruny, dude. Did you take a bath before you're starting this?
No, it is quite no. This is called 45 years old.
Is that what I need to look forward to? Just like wrinkly fingers,
Hey,
wrinkly hands.
put your finger up to it.
Shh. Look at that.
Maybe I'll put it right to the camera.
Smooth baby skin. Okay.
Yeah. Got
Look
like
at
I got like a butt on my finger.
that.
Either way. All right.
Tragic.
Well, enough of these shenanigans. Yeah, we've already entertained you guys for a while. Some cool things that you guys can think about too. But super grateful and thankful for this time today. Everyone have a wonderful time. We'll see you guys again next week too.
Bye.
Bye bye.